Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Jasmine Taberge. I'm a restorative dental hygienist and an international speaker with Max International, the Glutathione company. I've been with the company now for 8 years. Tonight's webinar will be addressing why Max International is the world leader in glutathione enhancement with its scientifically patented and proven technology called ribosine. Welcome. So what is glutathione? Glutathione is the most important molecule that we have in our body. It's produced naturally by every single cell that we have. It's our number one antioxidant. It's also our number one anti-inflammatory. It's the most efficient detoxifier and will detoxify and remove all toxins in our body, including arsenic and mercury, for example. It strengthens our immune system. It reduces cellular inflammation, and we know that 97% of all health issues that develop start with our cells being inflamed. And it protects against oxidative stress, which, as we know, is the cause of aging, and today, unfortunately, we see more and more premature aging. Here is the glutathione molecule. It is actually a tripeptide that's made up of 3 amino acids, those being cysteine, glutamic acid, and glycine. What's important to remember here is that cysteine is the rate-limiting factor. The more cysteine that we have present, the more glutathione that we'll actually manufacture within our cells. Benefits of glutathione. If we have high levels of glutathione, we're going to have more energy. I know we all want that. It slows down the aging process. Individuals that have reached the age of 100 have been tested and shown to have the glutathione levels of a 30 to 40-year-old. It reduces muscle and joint discomfort. It strengthens our immune system. It detoxifies the liver and the cells. It actually helps to detoxify all our organs and all our cells, but the liver is the first one that actually heals. It improves mental focus and clarity, improves the quality of sleep. We've seen phenomenal results with individuals that have issues with insomnia and sleep apnea. It reduces the effects of stress. It improves the skin, and it also helps with athletic performance and recovery. And we know that athletes within the first 10 minutes of working out actually deplete their glutathione levels by 40%. So the causes of glutathione depletion, why are we seeing more and more individuals that are having health issues at a younger and younger age? It's all based on the amount of oxidative stress that we have caused from the buildup of free radicals and also the overload of toxins. We are in toxic overload today because the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink is just laden with toxins. We also know that we've got genetically modified food. We have pesticides. There's so many different factors, and you can see some of them here. The poor diet, the stresses I talked about that people are undergoing just because of the lifestyle that we have. Drugs and alcohol are on that list. Pollution, all these things accumulatively are unfortunately depleting our glutathione levels. And as I said, we're seeing so many health issues that develop in individuals younger and younger and more severe and more intense. So we've got a serious problem in our hands, but we also have a solution, and that's what you're going to learn about tonight with our technology called ribosine. This list here is a list of diseases that are associated with low glutathione. This list was compiled in the early 80s with Dr. Keller's research. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the 2 doctors that have come up with the technology that we have with Max International. But you could see on this list that there are 134,000 articles that actually they're clinical studies from the National Institute of Health, which is PubMed online, but the National Institute of Health database actually has all these different diseases and health conditions that occur because of low levels of glutathione. I've just checked that more recently, and there are today over 135,000 clinical studies that show the benefits of having higher levels of glutathione and the disadvantages of what happens with our health when we have low levels of glutathione. If you look on this next slide here, for example, when you go back to that previous list, you will see that somebody has asked me, does this help with things like diabetes? Because diabetes isn't on the list. If there's something that's not on this list, because as I said, this was accumulated in the early 80s, today instead of on that list right now are 74 different diseases. Today we know that there are 125 different diseases and health issues that develop from low glutathione. So if somebody asks you about something that isn't on that list, what you need to do is go on to pubmed.gov, and when you go onto that website, in the search bar, type in, for example, if they ask you about diabetes, type in glutathione, and diabetes. And I just checked recently, and it shows that there are 4,649 studies that validate that elevating glutathione helps with diabetes. If you check, for example, with osteoporosis, there are 143 studies that show that elevating glutathione helps with that condition. And I checked for cancer, and when you check for today, you will see that there are over 21,000 studies that show that elevating glutathione helps with cancer. So a very important area of research that's going on right now. A lot of people aren't aware of it. I know you, with your careers that you have, are very well informed on glutathione, and hence the reason for you to learn about this, because I want to share with you why Max International is leading the way with glutathione research, and why this is the most effective way to raise glutathione intracellularly with this technology called ribosine. The research started with these two doctors. I'm going to be addressing the doctor on the bottom, Dr. Robert Keller. Dr. Robert Keller practiced in the United States, and he was certified in 3 specialties. He has certification in oncology, in hematology, and in immunology. He came up with a patented formula that was actually able to raise intracellular glutathione with what at that point, because his research started in the early 80s, was part of the gold standard that we've been using to date, and that is with N-acetylcysteine. The difference is that he was actually able to allow our body to take precursors, which allowed our body to have the ingredients that we needed, the molecules that we needed to produce glutathione within the cells. And we were able, through his technology, or he was able through his technology, to raise glutathione levels by almost 300% in 3 months in 20 trillion cells of your body. And he received a pharmaceutical patent for being able to prove that. Completely separate from him, Dr. Nagasawa's research came up with what we have today, and that is the glutathione enhancement of the future, and that is specifically ribosine that I'll be addressing tonight. Now, ribosine, I'm going to get into more later, is even 3 times more effective than the gold standard of N-acetylcysteine. What you need to know about Dr. Nagasawa is that he's not a medical doctor. He has his PhD in organic chemistry, and he worked with war vets that came back from Vietnam and were hit with Agent Orange and were traumatized, and unfortunately turned to alcohol and had liver cirrhosis. So he was hired by the U.S. government to take these individuals and to reverse their liver cirrhosis and to heal them, and he was able to do that. And the other thing that's so important to know about Dr. Nagasawa is that a few years ago, after 9/11, Homeland Security had reached out to all the scientists in the world and asked for something called the 3-minute antidote. Their concern was that if we were hit with chemical warfare, that we would be hit with cyanide, and as soon as you're hit with cyanide, as you probably know, the oxygen bonds in your cells are broken, and we would decease within like 4.5, 5 minutes. So they asked all the scientists and all the research in the world to come up with something called the 3-minute antidote, and it was actually Dr. Nagasawa that has come up with that. So not only do we have ribosine as the patented technology for glutathione in the future, but we also have that level of expertise and that level of scientific brilliance with our products with Dr. Nagasawa and his lifelong research. The bad news about glutathione: when you look at that chart on the right-hand side, you can see that typically most of us have high levels of glutathione up until the age of 20. And actually, the aging process starts at 20. From that point on, every decade, we lose 10 to 15% of our glutathione. And by the time we're 50, we have half of the glutathione that we did when we're 20. The bottom line on that chart shows oxidative stress. And as we talked about earlier, some of the factors that cause oxidative stress, you can see some other ones here that are added: sleep deprivation, sun exposure, poor diets. All those factors, and in addition to the other ones that we spoke about earlier, increase our levels of oxidative stress. And there is a point typically for most people in their 50s that all of a sudden they have higher levels of oxidative stress than they do glutathione. And I'm sure you're aware of this in your practice, as I was in the dental practices when I was working, that all of a sudden my patients were coming in their 50s and they were telling me things like, I've got, arthritis, I've got diabetes, I've got high cholesterol, I've got high blood pressure. I can't sleep at night. I've got all these issues. I remember hearing that for decades, had absolutely no idea that the causative factor for that was low levels of glutathione. So typically, as I said, that we see this huge turnaround for most individuals in their 50s, and it's specifically related to our glutathione levels in relation to the oxidative stress. I've addressed in that slide earlier the 74 different health diseases, which we now know there are at least 125 different health issues that develop with low glutathione. And we know that glutathione is important. We know how important it is, but we also know that taking glutathione orally, there's very little bioavailability and there's very little biosynthesis within our cells. So if we take oral glutathione, we only have about a 3% increase within our cells, because as we take it, our stomach acids break it down, and it's also a large molecule, so it may get into the bloodstream, but very little of it gets into the cells. So how do we effectively raise our glutathione levels today? The absolute best way known to man is with this technology called ribosine. And as I mentioned earlier, this started with Dr. Nagasawa's research. And this gentleman is today in his early 90s, and he's still in the lab working because of his commitment to make a difference to individuals all over the world. And this technology with ribosine is a compound of two molecules. The first half of that word is ribose, and as you're well aware, ribose is an elemental sugar produced in the nucleus of our RNA, and cysteine, the other half of the compound, is the amino acid that is that rate-limiting factor that determines the amount of glutathione that we'll actually produce. This today is, bar none, the most advanced glutathione technology known to man, and we are able, with this compound called ribosine, to elevate glutathione not only within our blood, but within our cells. And we're taking this precursor that allows our body to actually produce more glutathione within the cells. And the amazing thing about this is we have the most important molecule in our body being glutathione. The only way that you can get it, and the best way that you can get it elevated to this level, is with ribosine, and it's exclusively available through only Max International. So ribosine, this enhanced support for glutathione production, as I talked about there, has certifications that no other supplement in the world carries. I'm so proud to be part of this company because, as I said, the scientific studies that we have validate that we can enhance glutathione production within our cells, and we have certification that no other nutraceutical has. We have NSF, National Sanitation Foundation, which means that our products are produced in a pharmaceutical grade facility. We have halal certification because as we're taking this globally, this is important to many cultures. We have Health Canada's approval. And Health Canada's approval, I'm going to show you on a different slide. It's not just a sentence that says it's safe to ingest. It's a complete paragraph that said if you take these products with ribosine, that it'll actually enhance glutathione production, and that which it says it does, it actually does. We have BSCG certification, and as you may well be aware, this is the most stringent body in the world to certify something to be deemed drug-free. Olympians and professional athletes have to have BSCG certification before they can take any product or any supplement. And the 220 banned substances that they cannot have, we are free and clear. So we have these certifications, and as I said earlier, so proud to be part of this company because no other nutraceutical in the world has all these certifications. Our first product here is Max 1. Max 1 is pure ribosine. That compound, ribose and cysteine, is all that is in Max 1. Everyone can take this. No one will have any allergies to this, or no one will have any sensitivities to this because we all produce and have in our body both ribose and cysteine. The next formula that I'm going to show you here is Celgevity. Celgevity is the #1 product on the planet today for raising glutathione. And why I'm showing you this one is because this the ribosine technology that's in Max 1, but also you will see in addition to that 12 other powerful synergistic antioxidants that are also compounded into this product. And this is available in capsule form. And when you look through that list, a lot of you will be familiar with many of those antioxidants. And these are all together in one product. There is no other product that is available out there that has this powerhouse of antioxidants all accumulated in one product. So Celgevity is our #1 flagship product for glutathione enhancement and for having antioxidants within our cells that have been changing individuals' lives. as I said, I've been with the company for 8 years. The stories that I've heard and the anecdotal stories and the life-changing experiences that people have had have moved me to tears. And every week someone comes to me with a story and so gratefully thanks me. And that is the best feeling in the world, when somebody comes to you and says, thank you for giving me back my life, or my mom's life, or my child's life. So that's what we have in our hands with these two products from Max International, specifically Max One and Celgevity. Here is Health Canada's approval. And as I said, you'll see that paragraph where it says the recommended use or purpose. And we also have an NPM number, a natural product number. So all our products have Health Canada's approval, and all our products have this NPM number. So again, a very high level of certification and standard of health. And as I said, if any of you would like to see this certification or any of these documents, we'll be happy to provide that for you at the end. And they're all available online as well. So oral glutathione is not the answer. As I mentioned earlier, our body cannot absorb oral glutathione, and we only have about a 3% increase. Because of the stomach acids breaking it down, and because of the large size of the molecule, and because of the fact that it's fragile. Intravenous glutathione is also very, very popular, and we know that it's been used historically in the emergency room if somebody's come in with an acetamin overdose. But we also know that it's very short-lived. Obviously, I mean, you're well aware that there are individuals that have Parkinson's, and they're using glutathione intravenously, but again, it's short-lasting. You can see at the bottom here historically the different ways of raising glutathione, and as I talked about earlier, N-acetylcysteine was the gold standard. You can see in comparison that ribosine is 3 times more effective in raising intracellular glutathione. So as you can see there, the comparison of this is, bar none, ribosine is number one for making a difference for individuals by raising their glutathione. I'd like to address here a little bit about ribosine and why it's the ideal choice over alternatives. We know that intravenous glutathione is really popular, whether it's in Hollywood that they're using it for anti-aging, as I talked about some of the health benefits. I know that there are several health professionals that are using it for their patients. I'm finding out now that as much as intravenous glutathione is beneficial, there's also some concerns with having intravenous glutathione. And we know they use intravenous glutathione, as I said, for emergency cases in the emergency room. We know that the half-life in the bloodstream when somebody takes intravenous glutathione in the hospital, it's only about 10 to 15 minutes that it will survive at those high doses. But the problem with intravenous glutathione, or the disadvantage about having somebody take it, is that, first of all, it's an exogenous source. So we're taking it externally and we're putting it into the body. It's a plant-based glutathione, but it's a pharmaceutical grade. So obviously there's a high quality glutathione there. But the problem is that I have spoken to individuals that have had very, very serious health issues. And some of them have been bedridden and had some, many years with poor quality of life. They had gone down to the States, and there were some clinics that were offering intravenous glutathione treatment. And what was happening was that they had gone down, they had paid $60,000 for this treatment, and they had intravenous glutathione given to them anywhere from 2 to 5 times a day, anywhere from 5 to 8 weeks. And what was happening was at that time that they were down there, they were feeling better, but there's something that happened that's called negative feedback. And what that was that there was a saturation of glutathione in their blood. And this negative feedback basically sent a message back to our cells and to our body saying, we have an overabundance of glutathione and we don't need as much. So the production of glutathione actually diminished and decreased. So while they were down there, they felt great. But when they came home, every single one of these individuals, because homeostasis was out of balance and because of this negative feedback, and they had depleted their own production of glutathione, they came home and they actually felt worse than they had ever felt. And there were many of them that were at that point and shared with me that they actually literally thought that they were going to die. So what happened was that I was introduced to these individuals, and they went on the Celgevity. They started taking Celgevity, and the comparison, just to give you the difference between ribosine and intravenous glutathione, is that ribosine is something that can be taken long term. The reason is because it's a precursor. We're not actually taking glutathione when we take ribosine. We're taking the precursors that actually, the way that it works is that cysteine, this fragile molecule, is now encapsulated by the ribose, which protects it through the GI tract. It gets through the GI tract without being broken down. It gets into the bloodstream. Because it's small enough, it can also now get into the cell. As the ribosine passes into the cell, the ribose separates and breaks away and produces more adenosine triphosphate, and which we know is the energy in our mitochondria. The cysteine breaks away and is now bioavailable for the biosynthesis of glutathione. And as I said, we are now able to raise intracellular glutathione. So we're not taking glutathione. You can never overdose on it because it's hydrophilic, and so if you can't overdose. You have an excess amount, it will just pass out because it's not stored in our bodies. It's not lipophilic. The other huge difference is that it's endogenous. We're actually producing it within our cells rather than taking it exogenously. And as I said earlier, it's a precursor, and it actually sits there in reserve. When you need glutathione, you have that cysteine that's there, and you will start producing the glutathione as you need it. You have a moment of stress, you've been exposed to some carbon monoxide pollution or whatever, you're working out and you're exercising, you will produce it as you're needed. And so we also have homeostasis. You will never have that negative feedback, and you'll never have your own body shut down its production because it always keeps it in balance and in check. So a very different form of glutathione enhancement, and a very important comparison that we need to take into account, because intravenous glutathione, as I said, is popular, but long-term it's not healthy. So just wanted to share that with you so that you have an understanding around that. One of the exciting things also that I'm just, again, so proud to share is that ribosine, our patented compound that we have, crosses the blood-brain barrier. We know that 95% of all pharmaceuticals don't pass the blood-brain barrier, and ribosine does. So as it's getting into our brains, whether there are people that have issues with autism, ADD, ADHD, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, even if somebody's had a concussion, we know that somebody that's had a concussion has residual inflammation. And now with taking our products, we have individuals that even years later are now finding that that brain fog is lifting and that they're having more mental acuity. So huge area of research is happening right now with ribosine studies and everything to do with the neuropsych area. So very exciting, and looking forward to see what comes up within the next few years with all the studies. As we know, autism stats, the numbers are growing. It's so unfortunate. I mean, we know it, we see it, you see it in your practices. Right now, the statistics are that it's probably about 1 in 25 children that are developing autism today, and they say that within the next 4 or 5 years, it's probably going to be 1 in every 4 children that develop autism. And again, we know it's toxic overload. The exciting thing is that we can now, with ribosine, because of the fact that it crosses the blood-brain barrier, have it go in and clean up those free radicals that are in those individuals' brains. We know that people that have some of those conditions that I just spoke of have thousands of times more free radicals in their brain than the average person. So guess what? We now have a solution that's very impactful with phenomenal results. So just wanted to share that with you. One of the things too, that if anybody would be interested in doing some more research, and we will show you the links that you'll be able to access this at the end of the presentation, we have 22 peer-reviewed studies on ribosine, not on glutathione, but on ribosine specifically. So very exciting to know that we have this scientific validation. And as I said, that will be available for each of you at the end of this presentation. There are some independent studies that have been accumulated, and this young lady, Jennifer Say from Asia, took it upon herself to take all the research that is available globally. And again, these are third-party studies. They were independent studies that she's accumulated, and this is going to be an ongoing research paper that as new studies come up, these will be gathered and put in this paper. You can see as you go through the table of contents there, ribosine, how it protects against oxidative stress, the inflammatory bowel disease, how it responds with glutathione, antioxidant therapy with age-related hearing loss. This is again related specifically to ribosine, cardiovascular health, and then wound healings. These are some of the studies that we have that show the benefit and the effectiveness of ribosine in all these different health areas. Today, I'm so excited to say that there is a human study that's undergoing right now as we speak on ribosine. A few years ago, Dr. Sally McCormick, who is a professor in New Zealand, had a student that came to her and wanted her to do some research on cardiovascular health, and that's her area of expertise, with ribosine. And they did a study on mice, and they were absolutely astounded to find that with ribosine, at the end of this study, that every single one of these mice actually had an improvement with their cardiovascular health, specifically relating to cholesterol. And what happened was that they noticed that the cholesterol levels were actually lowering. The bad cholesterol was diminishing, and the good cholesterol stayed intact. The triglycerides, all the areas that they checked were actually improving. What was incredible about this study was that it had the exact same benefits as statins, but 0 side effects. So the results were exactly the same as what people have seen with pharmaceuticals, and we know all the side effects that exist. So we're so excited because right now there is undergoing a human study, and we should have this published later on in this year, in 2018, that we actually see that with the human study. So very exciting to see what's going on with ribosine, and again, another independent study. Areas of interest. As you you hear more about this and you learn more about, ribosine, a lot of you probably have access to a microscopist. Have a live blood cell analysis done. Take your blood cells, do a before and after, where you'll take a capsule of the Celgevity, open it, put it in under your tongue, and sublingually, the difference that you see before, and I encourage individuals, take a photograph before on the microscope, projected onto your computer screen, and then after you've taken the ribosine capsule, sublingually, you'll have another sample of blood that's put up on the microscope, and the difference that you see before and after in your own body and within your cells in 20 minutes is actually quite astounding. Overall health and well-being. I'm sure that most of you that are involved in the profession that you've chosen are, it's important. Our health is important. You want to have longevity. You want to have vitality. And this is something that you can have optimal health with increasing your own levels of glutathione through ribosine. In the world of athletics and sports, we know that every single individual that has taken our products, that raises their glutathione and that repairs their cells, and there's different products that they've taken, has broken their personal best records. So exciting. It doesn't matter if they're young or old, if they're amateur, if they're professional, they have broken their personal best records. So it's exciting to see the results that people are having with taking these products with ribosine. Anti-aging, we know the benefits of that. We've addressed that. Crossing the blood-brain barrier, as I said, another very exciting area of research that's going on. Weight and fat loss. We have a system that actually reduces fat. You will not reduce any muscle. You will not lose muscle nor water. So very exciting research that's going on. Again, all scientifically validated. You may want to be an educator. This may be something that you resonate with and intrigues you. And if you'd like to be an educator, that's an opportunity that's available. And we'll be more than happy to share with you how you can also take this to others. There is a business and a financial aspect to this. Those of you that are, health practitioners have probably a very profitable career and practice, but this now is a way for you to generate an income that you can have as an ongoing basis, so that even when you stop working, you have something that will be ongoing and you can increase your income towards your retirement. So it's something, like I said, that's available, and if anybody would like any more information on any of this, you can send an email and we'll have you find out more about this if that's something that intrigues you. One of the things that I just want to share, I'd like to commend you, because I know that you in the audience are individuals that have your own practice. You've chosen an area of medicine and health that is proactive, that is natural, that is healthy. And it's all about making a difference for individuals that come into your practices by having their own bodies be able to heal. And what we have here is an adjunctive therapy that you can use with all the modalities and all the treatments that you're using. And the results that you will see with your patients that come in will bring them to a level of health that you will end up having a reputation that individuals will come and seek your services, because your clients and your patients will go out and tell others about it, because we've seen results that have actually been so dramatic, that have been, for me initially, so unexpected, but now today are very expected and very very natural because of the fact that we've seen it so frequently that it doesn't surprise me anymore. So as you implement this into your practice and as you start doing your own due diligence, and I encourage every single one of you, do your due diligence, find out what ribosine is about, find out how this technology works, try it for yourself, have your own personal experience so that you are able to share this with individuals, speaking from your heart and speaking from your own experience on what is actually the difference that it's made for you and your patients and your clients. On this last slide that we have here, these are the links if you'd like to take a screenshot of this, if you'd like to do some more due diligence and do your own investigative work, and I strongly encourage you to do that. The 22 peer-reviewed studies are available for you. The independent studies that I've talked about are there. There's the third one there. That link is a video with Dr. Nagasawa and his son that actually talks about this ribosine breakthrough and the patented technology. So that is available on YouTube. And it's phenomenal to listen to Dr. Nagasawa's passion on how he really wants to take this around the world and make a difference for individuals one by one by one. Max Science is a very short video clip that, again, just talks a little bit about specifically ribosine. Go Glutathione, that link is more generic. It might be something that you'd want to share with your patients and your clients for them just to have a better awareness about glutathione. And for more information, contact the person that shared this with you, and we will be more than happy to provide for you an email that you can send your questions, your queries, anything that you'd like to learn more about. We're here for you. And like I said, do your due diligence, try the products, share this in your clinic, and become one of those professionals and one of those healthcare professionals that people actually will come to you and seek your advice and your knowledge and your brilliance, because you will be a stellar practitioner that makes a difference for individuals. And I really welcome you, and I thank you for being here with us, because I know that individually, all and collectively, we can make a difference with people all around the world so that we can all have the benefit of optimal health. Thank you for being with us tonight. Look forward to connecting with you all again, and let's take Max all around the world, and let's continue to live life to the max. Thank you so much. Good night now.